Hi, I'm Kevin, and this is a Kevin's Shop video. This is a bandsaw that I purchased used, and it's a Craftsman bandsaw. It's an older one. It was made in 1987, and it was in pretty rough condition. I think it had been stored in a rough environment. It was pretty dirty and filthy. What it was doing was when you turned it on, it had a real screechy sound. And so I want to show you what I did to correct that problem. Taking the side cover off of the bandsaw, and I wanted to show you how the internal components of it and its construction. These older Craftsman bandsaws are a tremendous value, and all their power tools actually were made pretty well. All the bearings on this are ball bearinged, and it's got a really nice cast aluminum housing here. This also came with a stand, and then it has a 1/2 horsepower motor. And bandsaws all have this adjustment here. This is an adjuster at the top here that puts tension on the blade, so you have the correct amount of tension on it. And this has an indicator here for 1/8, quarter, 3/8 and 1/2 inch width blades, and you adjust this knob to get the correct tension on the blade. Another adjustment on this bandsaw is the angle of this top drive wheel. This wheel is on a hinge, and this screw here allows that to pivot back and forth just a little bit to change the angle of this wheel so that the bandsaw blade will stay centered on this drive wheel. So it's important to make sure that that's always centered. And this screw doesn't require much turning. You just turn it maybe 1/4 of an inch either way to change this just enough so that this blade stays centered on the wheel. But there's another adjustment that's really important, and this is the guide, and then there's also a ball bearing behind the blade that supports the blade when you're using it, and these need to be adjusted precisely, and I want to show you that turned out to be the problem for why this saw was making a kind of a really screechy sound when it was running. So I've taken the cover off here, and I wanted to show you this is a bearing that runs behind the blade, so that when you put a piece of work in here, the blade is supported by this bearing. And this bandsaw had a terrible sound when I first got it and tried to use it. And it turned out that this wheel was misadjusted, and it was driving this blade back against this bearing. And I figured out that even though I adjusted this bearing, the blade kept trying to go back. So by adjusting this first, getting the correct position for this blade on the drive wheel, and then coming down here and adjusting this, corrected the sound that it was making. Just this bearing, what they have is there's a thumb screw on the back side here, and this thumb screw adjusts this bearing support, and you can adjust it in and out. And then what it has on here is there's an Allen screw, and I've got an Allen wrench in there already, and that's what, after you adjust it, if you loosen it to adjust it, and then once you have it in the proper position, you just tighten it up and lock it into place. And you want the bearing to be just back from the blade just a little bit, so that if the blade goes up and down, it doesn't turn the bearing. And I've got it that way right now. And that would be the proper setting for this bandsaw. The next adjustment is the position of these guides. This assembly can move back and forth. And what you want is you want to have these guides set back from the deepest part of the blade, which is called the gullet, and they want it to sit back another 32nd of an inch below that gullet, that deeper section of the blade. And that also has its own thumb screw here, and that's this lower one. And then the Allen wrench that locks that is over on this other side. So you would loosen this Allen wrench and then adjust this so that you get the right position of these guides, so to make sure that they're below the gullet by about 32nd of an inch. Then the final step on this set of guides here is that each guide can move in and out to make contact with the side of the blade. And there's set screws on the back side here on each side. And you would loosen both of those, and the manual says to just push the guides up to the blade, not squeeze them, but just have them just make contact with the blade. And then you tighten this Allen screw on both sides to lock those into place. And that finishes the adjustments for this set of guides. So one of the things I found with this bandsaw that wasn't right and was making it not work correctly and also make noise was that this top set of guides was set pretty close to what they needed to be, but the bottom set was way off. It's almost as if they maybe had a bigger blade in here and then they forgot to change the lower set, but there's a whole nother set of guides below here, and these also need to be set just like this top set. And it works pretty much the same, except there's the Allen set screws are in a couple different places. This is the set screw for this roller. There's a set screw here for this guide moving in and out. And the thumb screws are just back here on the back side underneath the table. And you would do the same set of adjustments. You'd adjust the roller, the guide's position back and forth on the blade, and then also the guide's side position coming in contact with the blade. So I've set up both of those now, and now this bandsaw turns quietly and it doesn't make any kind of screeching sound. I stored this bandsaw up against the wall so I can get my car in the garage, and when I use it I kind of pull it out. It's stored between a couple other pieces of equipment, and I've been just kind of dragging it out on its feet here. And what I wanted to show you is I came up with a real simple mobility improvement. I got a couple of these 3-inch wheels, and then I just used some existing holes here in the stand, and I put a 5/16 axle across there, and then I have these wheels, and it allows me just to pick this up and move it around easily by just grabbing the table and rolling it around. And this has really helped me with its mobility.